To start us off, I would like to invite our homecoming tri-director, Jenna Cedarblad, to the stage. Jenna is a senior. She's a health science major from Lombard, Illinois. Welcome.
In Blue Highways by William Least Heat Moon, the pen name of William Trogdon, the reader is advised, be careful going in search of adventure. It's ridiculously easy to find. William's own adventures began in Kansas City and continued during his time at Mizzou, including honors courses and countless hours among the stacks in Ellis Library. In 1978, a cross-country excursion in a Ford Econoline van resulted in Blue Highways, which introduced the world to a writer who was just as skilled at looking out at the world as he was at looking inward. Subsequent books like Prairie Earth and River Horse pursued unexpected twists and turns with a reporter's attention to detail and a photographer's eye for beauty. In 2017, William set off on a new adventure, releasing his first novel called Celestial Mechanics. Along the way, he has inspired countless readers and writers to go in search of their own adventures. Now let's hear more about this remarkable writer from those who know him best.
When you were born, what was your name?
Well, it's still my name. I'm William Lewis Trogdon, but when I was 13 years old, I had a chance to take another name. My father, in the 30s, took the name Heat Moon as a way of honoring that side of our ancestry, English, Irish, and Osage, pretty much in that order. My older brother came along and wanted to have an additional name to go with his name of David Trogdon. He became Little Heat Moon, and when I came along about 6 years later, I wanted to have a name too, so that makes me Least Heat Moon.
We won't find, other than Mark Twain, anybody else from Missouri who's as well known as an author that was born and raised in Missouri.
There are some books and writers who really enter your consciousness before you meet them and before you read them, and it was that way for me with Blue Highways.
So I was in the newsroom of the Memphis Press Scimitar, which was the afternoon newspaper in Memphis. There was another reporter there, and he had started filing these stories from weird places like Nanky-Poo, Tennessee, and Hot Coffee, Mississippi. These are great stories, but how did you get this idea? And he said, haven't you read Blue Highways?
Actually, in that day, the Rand McNally Atlas had the primary roads red and the secondary roads blue. That's how you got the name Blue Highways.
You think of travel literature as guidebooks to various places, some travel essays. Yeah, that's kind of what he's doing, is traveling, but it's not really what it's about. It's about history, and it's about social culture.
I would say that William Least Heat Moon was really ahead of his time in the sense of paying attention to rural America. And we've seen in recent times that sometimes people in rural America feel forgotten, but he showed the importance of those places.
I think the secret to his writing is all of his books are based on a journey. And journeys are inherently exciting or interesting because you don't know what's going to come next. And that's something about the River Horse trip, is that there were so many times along the way when it could have ended. I mean, it was not an easy thing to accomplish, a trip across America by boat. And I was with him when he finished in the Columbia, and in the book you see him pouring the water from the Atlantic into the Pacific.
When we hit the Pacific Ocean, and by that I mean mile marker 8, buoy 8, which formally marks the end of the Columbia River and the start of the Pacific, I couldn't speak. I'm a writer and I had no words.
I approached Heat Moon in 2006 and said, hey, here's some photos I took of part of your route out on the Oregon coast. My son and I'd like to retrace your trip and do a photographic book of it. And in fact, he would sit down and edit my writing.
I had an inspiration to try to recreate a small version of Blue Highways with my students at Vox Magazine. When he talked to them, he really spoke about two things that I thought were meaningful. The first thing was just the importance of craft. He also spoke to them a lot about persistence, and he reminded students that, the important thing as a writer is to persist, to keep writing, to keep revising, and not to give up.
Beware of thoughts that come in the night. I think the first line of Blue Highways is genius, and I just wonder if you'd talk a little bit about the importance of the first line of a book, or do you think it's important, or was it hard for you to come up with that line?
But that genius took 25 drafts to get out.
I think his writing stands out for the attention to detail and to place. His writing is almost cinematic or photographic.
You know, I think if I owned a bookstore, I would file him maybe in a couple different places, certainly regional literature, but also American history for several of those books. You know, and then in another way, you know, Heat Moon, I think, was a philosopher.
He's an avid Mizzou fan. So he roots for the Tigers no matter what, and anybody that plays Kansas.
Congratulations, Bill, on your induction into the Mizzou Hall of Fame.
Congratulations, Will, on your induction into the Mizzou Hall of Fame, and keep writing.
On behalf of the University of Missouri, it is my pleasure to induct William Trogdon into the Mizzou Hall of Fame.
Let's get a quick picture, okay?
I've always wanted one of the columns, but they've come close here to give me the real thing. As you know, at least from what we were just talking about here in the film, I do a lot of traveling, and my license plates say Missouri on them. And in 2015 and thereafter, occasionally on my travels, I would be asked about the University of Missouri. My comment then was, give us just a short time, we are going to transcend this, and you will see who we really are. And I know that most of the people in this room, if not everybody in this room, you have had a big role in bringing this university back, if we ever needed to come back. I'm not sure of that, but maybe so. There are things we need to adjust, and I think that we're doing those. And I want to thank all of you, my colleagues, my friends, my neighbors, and my alumni friends, for the work that you've done, because it's starting to show now, as the Chancellor has indicated. I've written this out. I usually don't write what I'm going to say, but I wasn't sure that I would be able to maintain proper composure here. So I'm going to read some of this. Forgive me for doing that. But I want to thank the Alumni Association, of course, for this honor. And I also want to thank Matt Gaunt. Matt, please stand. I was supposed to thank him in a library award a couple of years ago, because he's the main person who's helped keep me linked with this university, and in some ways draw a little money out of me occasionally for books and Ellis. So I'm thanking you this time, Matt. It's 2 years late, but thank you. And my good colleagues who come in from around the country in various places at the table, thanks too. And I also want to thank Chancellor Cartwright for not saying to Todd McCubbin, what in the hell are you thinking about? Have you seen this guy's transcript? I wish that were more of a joke than it is. If you will, I'd like to read you 60 words of a letter I received last month from a woman in Virginia. She wrote, a few years ago, a shingles attack took my vision. Being thrown suddenly into a dark room, I felt panic until I discovered audio books. I've been listening to all of your writings. Your words dance across the pages of my mind, and it's as if I can see again. Thank you for this gift of a different sight. Yours sincerely, Lois Stiles. Her thanking me is akin to thanking an obstetrician, because Mrs. Stiles is unaware that it is the inceptive power of the University of Missouri that she's responding to. She's responding to the wondrous stacks in Ellis Library. She's responding to the feel of the place itself, of the towers, the white stone, the limestone of Union Tower, the red bricks of the red campus, because it was the feel on this campus that made an 18-year-old boy about 60 years ago want to start learning. And there's no way I can thank the campus itself, but I can thank the people associated with the campus, and that is you. But I also want to say to you, on behalf of Mrs. Stiles, thank you, because it is the gift from this university that she's responding to. And to our dear old varsity, I want to say, ours are hearts that fondly love thee. Here's a health to thee. Thank you.